So this is the bee cozy that I've got over a 4 medium hive. I've got 2 pieces of insulation on top of the hive, so that should provide at least an R20 value of insulation. There's no top entrance. It's 4 mediums going all the way down. You can see the part of the last one right there. This hive wrap is supposed to provide an R8 value of insulation throughout the winter. I have the top of it tucked underneath the top of the telescoping top cover so moisture doesn't get inside. Because once moisture gets behind a wrap, it just turns to ice and water, and it just holds moisture to the side of the hive, and it doesn't work. It just kind of defeats the purpose of the wrap. This hive, I wish it was 3 mediums instead of 4 mediums, because sometimes the bees, because I use condensing hives and the bees cluster up top, when they need to go out for a cleansing flight, they got to go all the way down here. And if you can reduce the amount of space between the cluster and the bottom entrance, it's just better for the bees generally. Sometimes they just don't want to leave, they just don't want to go that far. They've got a lot of honey, and it's a large cluster, and large clusters just tend to do well no matter what you throw at them. If this was a smaller cluster, I would be a little bit worried. And there's a bee right there trying to get out. And it's a drone. Hey! And drones, they definitely live well past into the new year. They start dying off a little bit more in February, but they're not always expelled in the fall. I'm pretty sure that they're used as insulation, because I've seen the bees sort of not expel the drones, but they'll push the drones to the outside of the cluster and to just outside the hive. Like sometimes you'll find them just in all the drones together on the top of the hive, like underneath the inner cover if you've got an inner cover. And so they're just pushed out, but they're not pushed outside the hive, they're pushed outside the cluster. And so I think there's still plenty of drones in there. Cannon fodder kind of thing, where you can let them freeze on the outside of the cluster instead of the worker bees. But that's just my idea. And it's definitely getting cold. I haven't wrapped them until now because I want them to get cold. I want them to feel that winter's coming. So they shut down the queen's laying. They cap their honey as quickly as as possibly can. They just speeds up their winter preparation. Just gives them an incentive to just get ready for winter. So that's why I like it cold. So they're clustering. They're not doing much. They're shutting down. I want them to shut down and get ready for winter, because when winter comes, it just suddenly comes, and if they're not ready for it, I think it can throw them off. So I don't like this when I find flies around my hive like this. It usually means there's something dead in the hive, something rotten. In this hive, you can see it's got a really nice piece of hard insulation. The one over here, it's got a slightly thinner piece, but it should be fine. But this one is, I think at this thickness, it's at least an R10, but maybe R12. And so I've got 2 of them. There's another one right here taped down. The underside of this one was inside the hive last year like that. And it's got duct tape on it to prevent the bees from chewing it up, but I find that they can still get into the duct tape. So I use the tuck tape with a T, and the underside of this one is completely, just the surface is completely sealed in with tuck tape. So and the bees can't work it at all. They can't do anything. It's perfect. It's just a perfectly watertight piece of insulation. I've had this insulation on for a while now. And the bees have actually filled in, they've created a Propolis seal. So I don't really have to tape it in. There's a couple spots where I taped it, but I avoid using the tape as much as I can these days, because I've noticed over the years that condensation gets in that tape, gets behind that tape, and then the tape ends up holding moisture to the side of the hive, and then water gets in and it just becomes a mess. So anything that holds moisture to the hive isn't good. But at the same time, you don't want moisture getting into the hive. You don't want cracks. So, and most of this stuff is pretty, I can see these supers are sealed. I've got, I can't see it on that other one, but I used 100% silicone. So that looks almost like a, yeah, see, that almost looks like it needs a seal, but I don't think it does. I'm sure the bees sealed it. So I have the bee cozy taped just below the top piece of insulation. Inner cover over there will come down to about here, and then I should be able to tuck the excess underneath the inner cover. and I've just got it taped on with this duct tape. And I've definitely switched from my duct tape days are over. Duct tape seems much better for everything in my beekeeping chores. It's like a super glued tape that just sticks to anything and never comes undone. It creates a perfect seal. It doesn't disintegrate. It can be outside in the weather. It's good stuff. And there we go. I've got it tucked underneath more or less tucked underneath this. Water's not going to get into it. That's the main thing. I have another one that I picked up from a beekeeper last year that seems much tighter than these ones. Like, look at all that. It's pretty loose. And it doesn't look as thick. But I realize that if my understanding of physics is correct, this wrap will inflate practically once the sun gets on it and it heats up. Because it's basically a super thick garbage bag full of soft insulation. And the heat inside of it should expand the air, and then it should puff up. Because the one I have on another hive is really puffy, really tight when I put it on, and these ones are sort of loose right now. But as far as I can tell, they're exactly the same product. So I think the reason for that is these were just, 2 minutes ago they were wrapped up or rolled up like this, all tight and compact. So they just probably need time to expand, and just for them to, hot air to get in them, and maybe that should do it. In any case, this is it. Another big thought that I just had is that if there's any holes get poked in this insulation, I would say then the insulation sort of becomes useless then, because I think a lot of its insulation value comes from the fact that there's no holes in this bag, so this bag is going to fill up. It's like a bag, and it's going to fill up with hot air when the sun hits it. So if it doesn't do that, it's not going to create that dead air insulation. So I would, if I found a hole, I would get that duct tape on it right away, seal it in, make sure it's got a good seal. Because if there's a hole in there, then moisture can get in too. And if moisture gets in, then all that insulation in there gets wet and doesn't work, doesn't do anything, and it's just a waste of time. So if there's a hole, plug it up ASAP. Over the past few years, since I've been playing with condensing hives, I've been taping hard insulation around the hives, just styrofoam and whatever, just to see how it works. And it's worked out really well. But I was reading about these things, and I thought they were provided only like an R5 value of insulation, but apparently it's R8. But R5 to R8 is good enough, because the stuff that I've had taped to the hives over the past couple of years, it's been no more than, R5. It's around R5. So if this is easier to install, which it is, and it has the same effect and provides a nice windbreak, then sign me up, right? It's just one less chore, one less tedious thing I have to do. These were $32 Canadian here on the island of Newfoundland, and for me that's worth it, because otherwise I would have to be grabbing insulation from a big box hardware store, sawing it up, getting it just the right size for each hive, then taping it all together, and then probably wrapping it after that, and making a mess of all that, and taking up my time, and my time is valuable. And these things just scoot them over like that, like a little skirt, and boom, you're done. Again, it's going to be less messy, it's going to be less work, and it'll hopefully be just as effective as the styrofoam that I've been taping to the sides of the hive. So we'll see.